Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. Today we are recording episode 80, and we have a special one coming to you today because we will be discussing different music scenes in different countries and cultures, as well as touching on some different styles of pop music around the world. And I think it's very safe to say this episode is definitely near and dear to my and my co-host's heart, since we are both avid music lovers. And we're looking forward to discussing some different aspects of different styles of music, and hope that all of you will learn a couple new things about music in some different countries and cultures today. So it should be fun. We hope you enjoy. And without further ado, my buddy, my pal, my dude, my man with the plan, my buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello, Chad. Hello, friends, everyone out there in podcast sphere. How are you? Oh, that's great. I'm good, too. Thanks for asking. Welcome to episode 82, or 80. Jesus Christ. Welcome to episode 80. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I just got so excited by my own intro that I lost track of
Happens to the best of us.
Пожалуйста.
Follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. I tweet things. I tweet our episodes. I tweet songs of the pod. You can follow us there. Or you can follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. We have a social media influencer, Don, who did something once, so there's that. You
Shout
can
out
also
to Don.
Email us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Tell us your untranslatables. Tell us, give us some, another good thing you could email us is topic recommendations. Chad and I could think of topics all day, but we want to, we like to hear from the people. And you could do that. Or you could always spread a little love and give us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. That would be great. Or just take your friend's phone when they're not looking, go to their podcast app, put in Untranslatable Podcast, subscribe, and put their phone down without them even knowing what happened. And then just disappear like some sort of ninja ghost. And then they're like, wow, this random podcast showed up on my phone, and I love it. But I have no idea where it came from. Do that. That's a good idea.
That is a great idea right there. I love it.
Chad, happy Teacher's Day. You deserve it.
Thank you, buddy.
You work hard. You're a good teacher. Your students love you. I love you. And did you feel appreciated today on Teacher's Day?
Oh, there's no. Yes, but there's. Let me say this.
Slipping on gator piss.
I feel appreciative of my colleagues. Not that I don't appreciate my students, but today was a normal day at school.
I see what you're saying.
And I'm curious how many of my students actually knew it was Teacher's Day today. Because here's the thing. In the Czech Republic, it seems like they definitely will celebrate things, and the students will usually say something or do something. On birthdays, it's common for people to come up and like shake your hand, wish you a happy birthday. Here in the Czech Republic, they might give you a kiss on the cheek or do the double cheek. A couple
do you know
people
to say
also
happy birthday in Czech?
Všechno nejlepší, which actually means like it's like all better or all best, all the best, I guess.
Like alles Gutes.
Alles Gute, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I said Gutes. Alles Gute.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So to be honest, because of my experiences with other holidays here, I figured it would be a bigger deal. But in class, it was a normal day. I had a lot of fun with my students, though. We played some games. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, man, one of my colleagues, she showed me she has these little tiny whiteboards. They're like maybe, I don't know, like 5 inches by 10 inches or so. And so they're like erasable. They're
right.
Little tiny whiteboards. And so I've been experimenting with those in her classroom, and I love it. Today we played Taboo. So our topic was travel. So I would give them a place, and they would have to go into their groups and describe the place. And the first team that could describe the same place would hold up their little whiteboard with the name. And if they got it first, they got a point. And the students went crazy.
Fun. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
And the cool thing about it was, I always love it when I have some type of game with my students where there's movement involved. And when they're into it, when they're like full on sprinting.
Right.
And they were straight up, I'd be like, all right, the location is Toronto. And then they look at me and I'd be like, go. And they just run. It was hilarious.
Wait, so they have to explain Toronto, like they have to give clues for Toronto.
Exactly. So for example, if Toronto was the place, I told them they're obviously not allowed to say the name of the place. And in the beginning, I told them as well, to make it more difficult, you can't say the country.
Okay.
So they would be like, it's in a place in North America. You could say the continent. That was allowed.
Right.
It's in a place in North America. It's near waterfalls. There's a professional hockey team there, which is
hard.
A Maple Leaf.
Buffalo,
The students
obviously.
did great, though. Right, exactly. But I do have to say, so I feel incredibly lucky and very fortunate to be surrounded by such great colleagues and also great students. I don't mean to, bad talk them or anything, because I guess in my head I was just too biased from the get-go. I figured there would be some, maybe in the beginning of class they'd say something, or, who knows. But like I said, I'm not sure how, I have no idea if any of them were aware today was Teachers Day.
I have no idea when Teachers Day is in the U.S. To be honest with you,
I don't know if we have one.
We have Teacher Appreciation Week. Because
Okay.
when I saw on your Facebook that it was Teachers Day earlier today, and I just assumed that it was Teachers Day. So I typed in Teachers Day in Google, and it said like May something to something. It's
Okay.
Teachers Appreciation Week, and I was like, huh. And so then I had to do Teachers Day Czech Republic, and I was like,
There you go.
I got you. But
Right.
yeah, there is Teacher Appreciation Week. So you just never, I just don't think anyone appreciates teachers enough.
Yeah, it was funny. I was actually FaceTiming my dad yesterday, and we were talking about that. And it's always funny, dude. I love FaceTiming my dad because, well, one, I enjoy talking to him, but two,
Is it pointing
it's
at his
that kind
chest
of-
or something?
No, it's pointing at his like mustache and up his nose and then the ceiling. So, and the funny thing is too, you can see yourself when you FaceTime. It's like
Right.
Skype where you have the little window.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he just doesn't look. And at this point, I FaceTime, with him more than a couple times. And at this point, it's like, I'm not even going to bother telling you because we've done this
Right.
enough where you should know by now. And so I just take it how it is.
Well, didn't I tell you about over Christmas when I didn't go home for Christmas this year, but I FaceTime with my family when they were opening gifts, and my dad, who is good at knows how to work his phone very well, but
Right.
he'd be holding the phone, he'd be like, "Hey, look at Eileen's gift that she got. You like it?" I was like, "I don't know."
It was
the
his
phone's
chest, right? Or-
pointing at your elbow or whatever. He'd have it he'd have it pointed right at my cousin or whatever, but he'd be like, "Yeah, but it's facing you. It's not the other camera. You got to
Right.
switch it." He's like, "I don't know how to switch it."
Right. That's hilarious. I saw this. Sometimes I show my more advanced students funny videos, right? And a really, really popular set of videos are the funny tweets by Jimmy Fallon on his late night show. And there was one called hashtag vacation fail or worst vacation ever. And this one person tweeted out that their dad was on vacation with them, and he was the one responsible for taking all the pictures for their trip. And they got the photos back. This must have been back before it was digital cameras and you had to get them developed. There was 70 pictures of his eyeball. So he just literally had the camera go the wrong way on his eyeball.
I love also the image of him putting the iPhone up to his face as if it were a normal an old school camera.
Right. Well, no, dude, I think it was an old school camera because they got the pictures developed.
Oh, so he was holding the camera just backwards.
Which I don't get because how do you see out that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Or maybe it was I don't know. I don't know. How you couldn't see anything.
Right. Or maybe, yeah, who knows?
Maybe he was just seeing out of his other eye. Both eyes were open. He didn't even realize.
Oh, good call. Good call. You're probably right.
That might be
Probably
it.
right. But I will say this, though, about Teachers Day before we change the topic. I do think students here in general in the Czech Republic do appreciate education and their teachers. And they appreciate I don't know if it's appreciation or just a cultural thing, but I've heard from a lot of students who say, oh, well, I'm really sorry. My English isn't very good because I had a bad English teacher in primary school or whatever. And I feel like in America, we don't do that as much as they tend to do in the Czech Republic, where I think they put a lot of weight on how good they are in a subject based on their teachers, which in a way, it's a good thing. In a way, it's they want to be engaged by their teacher and be challenged by their teacher, which I think is good. But on the other hand, at the end of the day, they may go to university and realize they're sitting in a lecture hall for 4 hours and they have to teach themselves the subject.
Right. I don't think we do that in the U.S. because even if you take a language for your entire childhood from say first grade to third grade to the end of high school, it's still not really expected that you could speak it. No one.
Right.
I think if you were to come out in starting college and tell someone you could speak it, they'd still be impressed, even though it's like you took it all through school. So I think it's just different expectations on language.
Also true. Yeah, I would agree.
My French is terrible, and I took it longer than I took German.
Right. Yeah, but I think the other issue too is that, and I see this with older teachers in the Czech Republic, it's the same thing in the U.S. The way they teach languages, it's not communicative. It's,
right. You're learning
all
like
just grammar and more grammar.
Right.
And then some more grammar. And so, how are you going, speaking a language is like anything. It's a skill you have to develop. You have to work on it. You got to polish it. You got to flex those mouth muscles, and you got to do it.
Easy, Chad. Slipping on gator piss. Did you hear about WoW Air?
No, what happened?
Well, I got it. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's been all over social media. I'm so glad you haven't heard about this. Don texted me this morning. His parents were in Ireland visiting him and his girlfriend, and Don texted me this morning saying that his parents' flight got canceled coming home, and not only did their flight get canceled, every single WoW Air flight got canceled because they ceased to operate. They ceased operations this morning, today.
What?
And they ceased operations and canceled every flight has been canceled just overnight.
Wow.
And
no way. That's crazy.
So people all over the world have been stranded. This is WoW Air, by the way, for the listeners that don't know, is an international airline owned by Icelandic Air. However, it's a low budget.
Dirt cheap. Yeah,
right.
Dirt cheap.
Apparently a little too cheap.
I guess so.
Because
no kidding.
they closed overnight, and there was really no warning. Don, his parents had a flight back this morning, and they just woke up, and they got an email saying, your flight's been canceled because WoW Air ceased operations. And so there are, obviously people at airports all over the world pissed off, yelling at counter workers that have nothing to do with it and can do nothing about it. And
so does that mean WoW Air, are they out of business? What does that even mean?
That's it. They're done. No longer a company. And apparently it's not even guaranteed yet that all these people can get their money back.
Oh, no. That's horrendous.
I think it depends on the style. I think it depends on if how you file for bankruptcy or something, and then there might be some sort of class action lawsuit. But I don't know if you can just do a straight up refund. And so Don said, I actually texted Don before we started. Let me see what he said, but I kind of forgot. So he texted me. I texted him before he started, asking him if his parents got a flight back, and he said he had to book another $1,000 flight for them to go back. Just totally unrelated to their WoW Air flight.
Oh no,
and he said,
that's awful.
Icelandic. We couldn't get one discounted from Icelandic Air. They had round drop. They dropped a round ticket. Or the WoW. This is. I need to translate what he said. The WoW Air flight that they had bought was $800 to get there and
round
back.
trip. Mm-hmm.
Right. He wrote it weird, and he had to book a completely separate one-way trip for $1,000 for them to get back.
Yeah, I believe it.
So
that's awful.
Yeah, and so it's crazy. It's crazy that could just happen like that. And I mean, but I guess if you have no money, what else is if you can't pay anyone, then I guess that's how it has to happen. But I mean, I think it still is shitty because they knew before that night that it was pretty close to the end. They knew at least months before.
You don't just cease operations in 12 hours.
Right. The people that were in the offices knew months beforehand that shit was hitting the fan.
Right. No kidding.
And they just kept it to themselves, and then all of a sudden they're like, we're done. We can't do it.
That's awful.
I don't even know how that happens.
Yeah, me either. I would be, and you know what? It's funny you mentioned that. My colleagues in the office had mentioned it wasn't WoW, but it was a different airline that I don't know if they were going on strike or what they were doing, but same thing. Bunch of people were stranded, were not able to get out of. And when they said that, I was like, shit, what if that happens to me in July when I try to fly back to Michigan?
Well, I mean, but you're not on some sort of timetable. I mean, obviously it'll cost a lot of money, I guess.
Right.
But it's not like it's not like you have to go back for work or something like that.
Right, but I want to go back and see my family and friends.
I'm with you. It would still be a shit show. You'd still don't want to go through that.
Exactly. And here's the thing. I'm flying with Lufthansa, And my experience with them has always been good, but they have gone on strikes before.
Yeah. I mean, I assume you don't have to worry about them going out of business randomly.
I wouldn't think so. They seem to be,
but I guess you can
on top
never
of things.
You can never plan for a strike.
Right, exactly. So man, I'm just imagining myself at the airport right now when they're
just standing
there.
there.
Your flight's been canceled. And then it's like, what?
I was watching videos on Twitter and stuff, and people were saying we have to go home, and it's like, so we just have to buy a flight that we can't, literally buy a flight that you can't afford.
Right.
Especially with WoW Air, it's like, I got WoW Air because this is the cheapest option, and now I have to find a more expensive airline for a one-way trip that would be more expensive than my entire flight there and back.
Exactly.
And I might not get refunded.
Right. Yeah, that's horrendous. Well, we feel for all of you poor WoW Air passengers who have been stranded, and hope you get to your destination quickly, safely, and hopefully relatively affordably.
Yeah. Let's spread a little love and pull up on this negativity train.
Right. I just picture all those people just... I can't even imagine what it looks like in the airports right now.
People have got to be. It's exactly what you think it is. People just.
I'm sure.
There's one old dude. At least one of the videos I saw. One old dude with a yellow vest on, and just a bunch of people yelling in front of him. And then there's one other, I assume, worker in the background saying that you guys that just saying there's nothing we can do.
Right. And you know what? I feel for those workers because it's not their fault.
Right, they're just contracted workers.
Right,
they don't really work for an airline. They work for the airport, and they just go wherever they're needed at a desk.
Right.
Right. So yeah. Anyway, spread a little love.
So I want to mention something as well, though, Jared.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun.
I have a random idea for a potential really quick segment, and I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh, this is exciting.
And our listeners as well. I think it might be fun to do some type of short segment called Called It, where you see something that's going to happen in the near future and you can kind of predict, Called It, new. So I have a Called It for today. Okay. So as I'm sure some of our listeners know by now, and especially anyone who knows me personally or my father personally, we are not the biggest fans of our current president. And so my dad kept saying, well,
on the one hand, I think he's doing a great job, and I really appreciate his...
I'm surprised you're not wearing your Make America Great Again hat. We've gone great with your shirt, matching colors. Jared's wearing red for those of you listening to this and not watching on YouTube. And so anyways, my dad kept saying, just wait for the Mueller report. Just wait for the Mueller report. I kept telling him, look, I really don't... some of the guys around him, you may even call them his cronies, have gotten indicted and are going to face jail time. But I knew nothing's going to happen to Trump, I don't think. And so the Mueller report has come out, and so far we haven't really heard too much about it. All I know about it is it's 300 pages long.
Oh, wait, so it has been released? Because there was that whole thing where they were...
It hasn't been released to the public yet.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
But I'm going to say Called It, and I really don't think anything's going to happen to him. Called It.
I think he's gonna. I'm at this point. I'm nervous that he's gonna get reelected.
I was saying the same thing to my dad. Yep.
That's what I've seen a lot of people on social media and stuff get super excited, especially people opposing Trump, almost like, ooh, come on, and I'm just like, you guys are. It's like.
You're wasting your time.
It's not going to happen. It's not even if it does come out, I don't think it's not going to be the scathing report people hope or expect it to be.
Right.
And it's not going to, I don't know. He's brushed so much stuff off at this point.
Right.
And he does such a good job of hiring people in the sense that it's almost inevitable that these people that he hire will get thrown under the bus by him at some point.
Oh, for sure. Well, and the other crazy thing about it too is he's gotten away with more than any president in the history of the United States. Now, I know for our listeners out there who live in Europe and other countries, the United States is a fairly young country, so we don't have as much to draw from in terms of presidents. He's president 40? He's the 45th, right?
Yep.
Isn't that right?
Yep.
And so my dad just kept saying that, and I was like, you're getting your hopes up too much. Like you're expecting too much out of this report. And so, yeah, so we'll see. I'm in the same boat with you, Jared. I think he could get reelected in 2020 if he runs or
no, he's running. I think he's definitely running.
Right. And so
the ego on this dude, there's no way he wouldn't.
Right.
I think it's already a given, though. I feel like it's already been. I think it's a given that he would. But yeah, that's what I'm more concerned about.
Right.
I'm not well informed enough to talk politics, but I'm also concerned about his
state of our country.
No, well, yeah, obviously. I mean, his potential opposition as far as people running against him.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? But I think that might be a fun segment for the future. A called it segment.
Yeah. When you're too nice to say "I told you so" to someone's face, bring it to the podcast.
Exactly. Parada. Well, Jared, I think it's time that we
spread a little love. I'm with you.
All right, so let's do it.
You go first, because I only have one.
All right, I only have two. So my first one goes out to, one moment here, let me pull it up. My first one goes out to the governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rosselló, who issued an executive order banning the use of gay conversion therapy on minors. And I think this is a big problem in the United States, that we have a lot of religious parents who will send their gay children to these conversion therapy camps. A lot of them are like church camps of some sort. And look, here's the thing. I'm of the belief that if you are gay, I personally don't think it's a choice, because I always ask people the same question. I go, okay, when they say, well, being gay is a choice, I go, okay, so when did you wake up and when did you consciously decide, if you're a man, I like women, or if you're a woman, I like men? You know, I never woke up and it was like a conscious decision of, oh yeah, I think today I'm gonna be with women. Oh, I think tomorrow maybe I'll be with some dudes. Like that's not how it works, you know. And like
for some people, actually it is, but
well,
that's called bisexual. But
exactly. And so I think. Go ahead.
There was a comedian that actually got in trouble for a joke about that. I don't think it was a joke worth getting in trouble about. I actually think it was a very I don't want to say woke, but a very aware joke. He was saying that his name was, I think, Nimesh Patel. He got in trouble at a college because he made a joke saying that he doesn't think being gay is a choice because there are gay black people, and why would black people choose to be both gay and black because they're already being oppressed for being black? And so it was just, I mean, obviously he made it a joke, and I'm sure he had punchlines somewhere in there.
Right.
But it was just like, why would you, it's just like a weird thing to think that people would choose a life that is clearly more difficult also.
Right. And that's the thing. And so I think it's great that the governor of Puerto Rico, who also, he said, as a father, as a scientist, and as a governor, I firmly believe that the idea that there are people in our society who need treatment because of their gender identity or whom they love is not only absurd, it is harmful to so many children and young adults who deserve to be treated with dignity and respect.
I got excited when I heard that he was a scientist.
Right?
I'm like,
for sure.
Oh, man, we should be hiring more of those.
Exactly.
So gay conversion, I just pulled up a map, is banned in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
15 states.
Oh, yep. Yeah, you're right.
Which states? Is Michigan on there?
Nope. You're free to convert your children in Michigan.
That's awful. What about Pennsylvania?
Free to convert your children in Pennsylvania.
Okay, man. And I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I'm not a very religious person, but why can't you accept people for who they are? You know?
No, that shouldn't be hard for a religious person to say, because they do have this whole thing about love people as they are, and they have a fucking song about come as you are, meaning come as you are to church. So I think that's
See,
BS.
me as a Nirvana fan, I thought of Nirvana. I didn't think of that as a hymnal, but yeah.
It's hypocrisy, and it's fear, and it's a lack of shame. That's what it is. You should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah. Well, Jared, let's spread some more love and let's hear what you've got to say.
Spread a little love. Well, okay, I work. This the nose of the positivity train is firmly flying towards the ground right now because my shout out is more of a question to you, is whether this should be a shout out or not.
Oh no! I'm curious to see.
Have you heard of the Reimann family? Reimann Familie.
9. No.
It's one of the richest families in Germany, billionaire family. They own a whole slew of companies. They own a holding. Some of the companies they own will blow your goddamn mind.
Okay, let's hear them.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
Okay. I think I may have heard this, but keep going.
Keurig coffee.
Okay.
Dr. Pepper. Panera Bread. There are many others, but those are some.
Okay.
It just shocked me to hear that all these companies were owned by
They're Germans. Interesting.
All these companies were owned by the same German billionaire.
Especially Krispy Kreme. That really blows my mind.
That's like the most American thing out here.
Right.
Also, Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper was always kind of an enigma to me. I was like, where does that come from?
Right.
For the longest time, I thought Coke owned it. But no, some German billionaire company does. So turns out, I assume you know where this story is going. They by apparently internal investigation that they put on themselves in their holding company, which I believe is called, I don't have it written down, but I believe it's called JB Holding, which is like their kind of company that's actually, so they don't get in trouble for anything that legally goes down. Their company does. That's what that would be considered. And that's the company that owns all of those other companies. But this rich German family owns that company. And so they did an internal investigation and found out. Let me just read this properly. A quote: a family spokesperson said Albert Reimann Sr., who died in 1954, and Albert Reimann Jr., who died in 1984, used Russian civilian prisoners and French prisoners of war as forced labor in their factories during the war, and that they were anti-Semites and avowed supporters of Adolf Hitler. The family expects to publish a book next year that will detail the ties. So I found it interesting because they didn't have to. They did this themselves, and they brought this out themselves. So my first thought when I was reading this, I thought, I kind of wish, I kind of like this. I wish more people in America would be less ignorant to our past, and
That's true.
I mean, you don't even have to go to this length, I guess. This is a little, but like you don't have to go to this length, but just be more aware and recognize the truth in the horrors of our own history, because I think there's a lot of blissful ignorance about our own past here.
Oh, way too much of it, definitely.
And so as I was reading it, I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But I like that they didn't have to even put this out. Like they're doing this themselves, and they're like, this is messed up. We're acknowledging that this was messed up. Then I read then I kept reading the article, and I saw the sentence, the family expects to publish a book next year that will detail the ties. And I was like, oh, now this just feels gross.
Right. And see, when you said that, I thought to myself, it just sounds like they're trying to monetize their past.
Exactly. It's like, let's find a way to admit to this before anyone else could bring it up about us.
Right.
And use it as like some sort of weird marketing thing.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, totally. Because it's like there's an episode of The Office where Michael Scott like does that, where he like tries to tell the news what happened with something going on at the office before it happened. So he would be the one to say it, right? So because I feel like then, your name won't be dragged through the mud as harshly as if it's found out, because then you got to kind of backpedal and be like,
and then the story is not fully right when they when they do that. So you're like trying to re-explain an already terrible story, and it's just like it turns into a mess.
Right. And I'm really curious how much money they'll pull in from that book, because I guarantee you people are going to buy that. People will eat that up for sure.
They probably own their own publishing company.
Probably.
So you know what? I'm glad we're not spreading any love on that.
Okay, fair enough. The Krispy Kreme Publishing Company.
It really does put a damper on Krispy Kreme for me, though. I haven't been to Panera in a long time, and I couldn't tell you the last time I had a Dr. Pepper, and I never have Keurig. I mean, I never have Krispy Kreme either, but it is like a staple, at least for me. It always reminds me of going to Louisiana because my grandparents would always like buy a dozen of it, and they'd be like, well, we're not going to eat any of them. And I was like, all right, so you literally bought your grandson a dozen glazed donuts?
Right.
This is why I love coming here.
Right. I mean, my parents do that when they go to the Dexter Bakery. I'll come home back when I was living in the States, I'd come home, there'd be a box of a dozen donuts. They'd eat some of them, but
right.
I feel you. And I would say that's sadly maybe not worth spreading the love. I mean, like I said, I do like the fact, like you said, you can view this as either
accountability.
Accountability. Them trying to, but at the same time, you could also view it as them, like you said, trying to kind of, douse the fire before it turns into
exactly.
a full blaze.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I'm sure they're gonna like donate like a couple million to something or something.
Probably. Sounds like they got some money they can toss around. All right, I have one more shout out for you, Jared.
They're not
wow. My shout out goes to, not wow hair. Actually, you know what? I have two shout outs, but I'll start with this one. My first shout out goes out to a 19-year-old freshman at the University of West Georgia named Joshua Caraway. So he spent spring break in Florida, and you know what he did? He cleaned up the beaches while he was there on vacation. And he said, I quote, "We need to keep the beach clean. Even though I'm on vacation, I can still help out." And he wanted to make sure that he would not leave the place worse than he had found it. And I wish we had more young people in the States.
Nerd.
I wish we had people in the States that had this mindset. Because honestly, man, I think not even the U.S., but in the entire world, we'd have such a cleaner place.
Oh, yeah. And I can only imagine what those beaches look like.
After spring break, it's got to be ugly.
Yeah, it's filled with bottles and trash and stuff. I can only imagine what they look like.
Probably cigarette butts, too, and just nastiness.
Yeah, everything.
Condoms. Condom. Yep, definitely.
Oh, yep. God. A bunch of stuff that is just going to end up in a fish's stomach. Dude, I hate seeing those pictures. Every now and again, I stumble upon those pictures on like Instagram or something. Right. Where it's like they cut open a duck, and it looks like a aisle in a grocery store in there, and it's like, geez.
Right. Yeah, it's sad. It really is.
Shout out to that kid.
Right. And my last shout out goes out to, as you could probably guess, Jared, since today we are recording it is Teachers Day. My last shout out goes out to all of the teachers that make a positive impact on students' lives, help their colleagues, and really want to try to make the world a better place through education. So thank you all so much. I wouldn't be here where I am without you, and I'm sure Jared wouldn't be either.
Spread a little love.
So we really appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I guess I probably wouldn't be either. You're probably right. Sure. No, for sure. Also, you're my favorite teacher, by the way. You're my greatest and favorite teacher.
Appreciate it.
But more importantly, the untranslatable owl is telling me to shut up.
That's
because
true.
It's untranslatable
it's that time.
Yeah.
Well, Jared, I only have one, so it's up to you how we want to sparse this out.
I'll go first. I have two.
Sweet.
My first one is Zulu, and it goes Uneb hungan ekanda. And it literally means he has a beetle in his head.
Is that like being an airhead?
No. No, it's not.
Can you give me an example?
Your dad might say that Donald Trump has a beetle in his head.
So you're like stupid. Like a head full of rocks.
Oh, that means you're crazy.
You're crazy? Aha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think if I had a beetle in my head, I would probably go crazy.
Dude, yeah, people talk about how there are actually stories similar to that where people get insects stuck in like far back in their ear and they like hear weird noises and they think they're going crazy. And then it finds out that they've had a spider or like some sort of weird insect living in your ear.
That gives me the creeps.
Months. Yeah. It's I regret bringing that up.
Right. All right. My only untranslatable is Czech, and also another shout out to my friend Pavlina. She's the one who provided me with the last Czech one. And I have
Speaking
to say,
of Pavlina, you before you say whatever you're about to say, you so conveniently waited until we turned off all of the recordings to mention something that Pavlina said about my Czech.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Pavlina mentioned that she was very impressed by your memory and ability to recall Czech words. It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually going to mention that when we were going to do Czech Word of the Pod today, but that's all right.
Okay.
A little early shout out.
It hasn't left my mind.
Well, good. And honestly, man, that encouragement is always good. Like when I've been encouraged a couple times when I try to speak Czech, and it always gives me a huge boost of confidence. So, anyways, other than telling you Czech untranslatables, of course. So, this one is chlubit se cizím peřím, which means to take pride in someone else's feathers.
Oh, just to take credit for other people's accomplishments.
With that ham horn.
Yeah. That's a great way to say it too. Or it's like there's like a peacock next to you and you're like a pigeon. You're like, check that out.
Right.
It's dope, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
My next one is Indonesian. And this is, I was feeling a little like torture. So this is extra long for some reason. Kasih ibu sepanjang masa kasih anak sepanjang gala. And that literally means a mother's love is as long as time, but child's love is as long as wood stick.
Can you give that to me one more time?
A mother's love is as long as time, but child's love is as long as a wood stick. They just say wood stick, but I would probably put an A in there.
Okay.
In parentheses, a wood stick.
Okay. Huh. Can you give me an example?
Yes. Yes, I can.
I'm excited to hear this example just by your laugh and your facial expression.
I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this because I don't want to... I got to think how I'm going to do this. I know exactly what I want to say. But, okay. So, you... many years ago, we'll say, hypothetically, you're in a relationship, and you get your heart broken, and you run to your mom and you say, "This girl broke my heart," and she says, "Oh, chatty watty, a mother's love is as long as time, but child's love is as long as wood stick."
So it basically just means you go to your parents when you need them, whereas your parents are always there for you.
Yeah, it just means a mother's love lasts forever.
Right.
And that a child doesn't really know what love means.
Yeah?
Which I think, I don't know about you, but I could definitely relate to that. I don't know, like all my past relationships, every time I leave one, I'm like, I don't think I really know what it means, like what it means to be in love, actually. Right. I don't think I know what that means.
Didn't you give me an untranslatable last episode or the episode before, like 100 fathers can support,
yeah.
Right?
That was from Nino. It was Sicilian.
That's right. So it was last episode.
Yeah, it was 100 fathers. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up quick, but
it was like 100 fathers, or no, one father can support 100 children, but 100 children can't support one father. Right?
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Parada.
Yeah, which is a similar concept. I'm out here. Your personality is contagious, and I'm trying to spread a little love. So what can I say?
I like it. Well, good work, buddy. That was an interesting untranslatable. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I agree with you. Love is a complicated thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But one thing I love.
Mm-hmm. That's not
almost more than anything else. It's not complicated exactly.
Well,
it's music and different music around the world. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. First, I want to list off some of my favorite music cities that I've been to.
Oh, sweet. Sounds good.
Number one on that list. This is my own personal list of places I've experienced, so people could say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" My number one is by far New Orleans. You have to wear those earmuffs that people wear at airports to avoid music in New Orleans.
Okay.
There is music everywhere. So there's not only music on the street all over the place, but there's also there's also all sorts of different live music venues. So there's obviously a whole bunch of different jazz and blues venues, but there's then you can find cover bands everywhere. You can find like rock venues and like in bars and stuff. So there's just everything. And another thing about New Orleans is it has everything, but also the quote unquote New Orleans music has a very distinct sound to it.
Are you talking Dixieland or Dixie music?
Probably not. I can't imagine Dixie music. What is that?
Hold up.
That sounds like something that no one in my family would ever listen to. Spin your horsey round and
Dixieland.
round. What's Dixieland?
Hold up. I'm looking it up. You continue.
So
right here, Dixieland, sometimes referred to as hot jazz or traditional jazz, is a style of jazz based on the music that developed in New Orleans at the start of the 20th century.
Then yes, I am talking about that.
One
I've
of
never
the
heard
first
that
to
before.
use the term Dixieland was a reference to the music was in the name of the original Dixieland Jazz Band, which shortly changed the spelling of its name to the original... Nope, okay, that's the same thing. So there you go. Yeah, Dixieland.
Okay.
And you made me doubt myself. I thought I knew this.
I'm sorry.
Slipping on gator pits.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
But all right, well, hey, you learn something new every day. But yeah, New
That's
Orleans
right.
is probably one of my top music cities. Every time I've been there, I've either purposely gone to some place or stumbled upon some place that I've ended up staying in way longer than I expected because there was some amazing... Dude, for my sisters had a wedding in New Orleans a couple months ago. Refer to our On the Road Again. Your Wi-Fi, by the way, is particularly terrible today, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're like a goddamn robot over there. Which is so my sister's wedding was in New Orleans, and they're so bad at names. Brad and I stumbled into just a random restaurant/bar, mainly because we were actually hungry. That's why we went there, and we ended up staying there for way longer than we expected because there was a live, actually pretty big stage, and there was a dude that was playing some Dixieland music. However, he had some other band people with him. He was the lead trumpet and saxophonist, all with his mouth.
Okay. Wow.
He was like imitating, and it was very convincing too. He was
awesome.
imitating like saxophones and trumpets with his mouth and doing like full solos and stuff, and we were in a trance. So that
I believe it. That would be a weird party trick, wouldn't it? Just be like, hold up, let me pull my saxophone. It's like a trumpet? Hold up.
That was interesting. You've never been to New Orleans, have you?
Not yet. When you're done with this, I have a bucket list of music cities I want to visit, but I'll let you continue.
Number 2 is Vienna. Obviously, a very different scene than New Orleans as far as the genre of music, but much like New Orleans, in Vienna, you can't it's hard to like you can't miss it's hard to not find a cheap opera or symphony or something to go to because. There are a couple theaters, but the two main ones are both off of major lines, and tickets can be as cheap as €3 if you get standing room.
Right.
So it's very accessible, like New Orleans, but in a different way.
Right.
So it's very accessible, and they're very proud of it. Also, in the sense that they really nurture that music scene where you can go to when we were there, we went to all these different composers' houses that they're apartment. They're all apartments. None of them are houses, and it's just obviously they have the history and the museums and stuff. So it's just very well preserved. It's very well preserved in Vienna, and it seems to be taken very seriously by people of all ages.
Yeah, I would agree. Couple tips though for our listeners out there who plan on going to Vienna to listen to music. One, if you're going to a place where there's standing room, I would get there early, hour and a half to 2 hours before the show, depending on the show. Number 2, most people tend to dress up at these types of concerts. I've been to some concerts in the Czech Republic, and it's the same. I wore a suit and a tie for every more formal concert I went to here. Granted, I've only been to 3 of them here that were more formal in the Czech Republic, But everybody was wearing a suit and tie, and women were wearing, nicer, what's the right term? Just a dress, ballroom dress? I don't know what the right term
I don't
is.
know what they were wearing. I wasn't there, so.
Like a dress or a ballroom dress or ballroom gown.
Summer skirts. I don't know.
Sundress.
Halter tops.
Whatever. Exactly. I'm curious, Jared, what were some of the concerts you saw back in the day in Vienna?
I believe Fidelio was one of them.
Yep.
Zauberflute.
Yep, the magic flute. Saw that one as well.
Was there something involving mice? Three mice or something like that?
Could be.
Mice.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Those were, then I saw one with my family that I actually didn't like. It was kind of boring.
Okay.
But I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, my parents used to take us to symphonies and stuff in Detroit.
That's cool, though.
Trying to culture us up a little bit.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Another one on the list is Chicago.
Oh, for sure, hands down.
Chicago, much like it's a little different than New Orleans because Chicago is gigantic. So it is actually, you do have to kind of know where you're going. You can't just stumble. You can't stumble into cool places, but it's a little bit harder.
Buddy Guy playing a live concert at the, what was it, like Shellfish Fest or something like that?
I think it was like Oyster Fest or something like that.
Oyster Fest, that's right.
And it was just at this, so Chad and I were in Chicago together one time. We went a couple times because it was close to where we went to school. And we were just walking around. I don't know where we were going, but we stumbled upon the stage and we're like, is that? And we're like, you're like, hold on, that sounds like Buddy Guy. Mm-hmm. And he was performing on stage and it was like in this lot, sort of empty lot that I assume obviously the Oyster Fest rented out. And they were putting on a Oyster Fest and Buddy Guy was the headliner and he was putting on a show. And I think, arguably had better seats than some of the people that had paid, because we didn't get in because you had to pay to get in, but we were standing behind it, like behind the stage,
we were stage right,
kind of above,
exactly,
stage right and above, because we were on a bridge, and we stood there for like 20 or 30 minutes and watched them perform.
Yeah, Chicago is an amazing music city, especially. I think there is still, and also speaking of Buddy Guy, he has a blues club there called Buddy Guy's Legends. Okay. And I think the sad thing about some of these different forms of music, depending on where you live, they're somewhat dying out a little bit. But I think in Chicago, there's still a bit of a blues scene.
Yes, I have been to a few cool. I mean, one of them was called House of Blues. I know that.
Right.
But I don't remember some of the names of them because it's been a couple of years. But I have been to a few cool bars, and they all do seem to lean towards blues for sure. Not all. I mean, all the ones I remember going to. I'm not saying all of them, but all the ones I remember going to. But I think that, Chicago's kind of like, is it not sort of the epicenter of blues in the North?
Oh, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, so it makes sense that if the scene's going to live on anywhere, it would be there, which is good because Chicago's a giant city. And so I like Chicago. I love the bars, the blues bars, and we saw Buddy Guy there, which is Chicago's also Buddy Guy city, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Another one on the list is Philadelphia. Obviously, I live here, so I have a lot of exposure to stuff. But Philadelphia is a very like a musically artistic city, I think.
Oh, cool.
And I've been to a lot of cool, not a lot, but I've been to. I say not a lot because there are a couple that I like to go to. So I told you about when I went to Time when Brad was here, and we would have stayed longer if we hadn't drank so much. And there's one right down the street from me that I actually haven't been to in a while, and I was considering going to yesterday just to do some pre-episode recon, but I got piano lessons and I got home and I just didn't feel like leaving once I got home. But there's a place called Heritage right down the street from me that always has live music. I think maybe 7 days a week, if not 5 days a week. And I love going to that place. And there are a lot of as I've mentioned, I also do the chamber concerts. But I'm not and I've also mentioned that that one woman that I met through my piano teacher does chamber concert, like not chamber concerts, but she goes to concerts like that in Philly, which is less classical music and more, more music for people. I don't want to say for people our age, but more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like I
don't know. You tell me.
Is this younger people music?
More
I don't know.
Contemporary music.
Thank
maybe?
you. Yes, that's the right word for it. I'm trying not to be an ageist anymore after that one episode we did.
Right, that's true.
It's more contemporary music, and they also bring like art pieces and stuff that they'll sell during that. And I never got in contact with her after that, so I've never heard anything about it. And I guess it's on me to ask my piano teacher for her contact information, but you know me. By the way, I still, now that I'm back, I was just thinking the other day, speaking of this, I did say that once I got back from Europe, I was going to hit up that dude that gave us the recommendations and hang out with him. And I still haven't said anything to him. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Hit him up.
I don't know what's wrong
Why
with
not?
me.
Hit him up.
I just in my head, I'm like, he doesn't want to talk. Like, he doesn't want to talk to me. Why? Well, anyway, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. My last one, and this is the most different out of all of them, I would say, was Tanzania. And I would say
Interesting. Okay.
the way that the music was introduced to us was completely different. Like it was a very community based thing in the sense that like whenever and obviously we were guests, and so like I think that's why it was happening as much as it was. But each village, and there are plenty of them, has their own sort of like different dance, and they also have their own different songs and stuff. And they, at least for when guests are there, they are happy to perform them. And there was just a lot of music being performed while we were there. It was really cool, and that was definitely a standout part of that trip. Was just all the different music that we heard.
That's awesome.
And so those are Jared's top scenes.
Okay. All right, I got a couple top scenes in there. I want to talk about my bucket list of places that I haven't been to, but I really want to check out. So, number one, I have to agree with you wholeheartedly about Vienna. But the thing I like about Vienna is Vienna has a little taste of everything. Of course, it's known for being, really the epicenter of classical music in Europe. Mm-hmm. You have all these really, really renowned and, prominent composers: Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert, Haydn,
Strauss.
What?
Strauss.
Strauss, the father and the son. Johann Strauss, not Richard Strauss. He was German. Let's see. I mean, there were. Jared and I even took a class called Music in Vienna, and honestly, that could have been like a 2-year-long class easily. You could have easily stretched that out way longer. But the cool thing about Vienna is there's a lot of bars and other places where they support other types of live music. I forget the name of the place now, but I went and I saw actually 2 guitar players. And it was all instrumental, just 2 electric guitars, and it was awesome. They were doing some really interesting stuff with sound effects. They were like hitting the top of the guitar to do like drums and get like a beat going. Really interesting stuff harmonically in terms of the chords and different things they were playing together. So it was great. So Vienna is, I think, one of my favorite places. Another one that should come no surprise to you, Jared, and to our listeners as well, I think, is Prague. Prague has an amazing jazz scene. To be honest, the next time you come to Europe, I think we need to spend 4 or 5 days in Prague, or find a way to spend a couple days there so we can check out the music scene and dive a little bit more deeply into it. And the other thing I like about the music, right? And the other thing I love about the music scene in the Czech Republic is, yes, there's a big jazz scene, and there's a lot of international people and plenty of expats, and also some really talented Americans. Steve Walsh and Joanna Jenkins, just to mention 2 of them. There are plenty more. But also there's a really big country and bluegrass scene all over the Czech Republic, which I think is pretty cool. And it's kind of interesting because, some of you have been hearing my butchered Czech and my untranslatables, and you might think, well, Chad, how do you do Czech and bluegrass together? And I have to say, it sounds great. I really like it. I wish I knew more of what they were actually saying, but it sounds really good. So Prague is another great place, I would say.
I was Googling the best music scenes around the world, and Prague is consistently on that list.
Oh, definitely.
No matter where I looked, they were always on that list.
And then another very clear and obvious one as well in Europe is going to be Berlin, especially if you're into more techno EDM style. It's not quite my cup of tea, but I know
That's why I didn't
people-
add it to my list.
Right, but I know a lot of people love it, and Berlin seems to be the place to be in the world for that. So yeah. Now, however, I think depending on the style of music you enjoy, there are so many different music scenes, which leads me to my bucket list of places. So,
Okay.
first we'll start with the States, because I think that's a little easier. So number one, Nashville and Memphis, Tennessee.
Those are cities, but yeah.
Yeah, and I really want to go to both of those cities. I've been told from some friends of mine, shout out to my buddy Parker, that Memphis is more of a blues city and Nashville is more of a country city, which I think makes sense. You know, a lot of the big country hits came out of Nashville, whereas you had Sun Records, which I believe was in Memphis, and a lot of blues artists came out of Memphis. So those are two cities that I would love to check out in terms of music. You have definitely piqued my curiosity and interest in Philadelphia. And then the last one that I really want to check out is also Austin, Texas. I've heard Austin, Texas, from people who've lived there or traveled there. There's live music all the time, all sorts of different types of music. And my inspiration, the reason why I started playing guitar, was because of a guy named Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he played, and I'm almost positive he's from Austin, Texas. So there you go. Those are my 3 American bucket list places for places to go regarding music. The other music scenes I would love to check out, I would love to check out more Brazilian music like samba, and check that out. To be honest with you, I'm not sure which cities would be the best for that, but after
I
talking
have
to...
a recommendation for you.
Oh, let's hear it.
According to some of these websites I've looked at, Sao Paulo seems like a good place to go.
Okay.
The bulk of Sao Paulo's live venues can be found in the Via Madalena district. It's not Madalena. It would be Madalena.
It's not Spanish, so it probably would be Marilena.
Okay. The hub for the South American metropolis is nightlife. While Brazilian music like samba is the most popular and definitely worth checking out, there are also bands playing pop rock, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, Sao Paulo.
Another one too, because I did briefly learn how to salsa dance. So I would love to check out salsa dancing in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I think that would be great.
You probably have to step up your dance, your take some practice a little before you go to Brazil as well.
Obviously. Well, sure, of course. But hey, there's no better way to learn than to learn in the place. I learned how to waltz at a ball in Vienna, and I was with my date, and she just said, all right, we're going to go waltz. And I was like, oh, all right. I have to say, though, Jared,
go ahead.
I didn't step on her feet, so I was happy.
Good. That's good. I'm gonna guess that it's a little bit more difficult to keep up in some of these samba or salsa places rather than doing 1, 2, 3.
Probably. But I think if you understand, but I think if you understand basic rhythm, eventually I think you can learn it. And you know what? Even if you can't, I still think you can have fun.
And it's not about the robotics of the counting. It's about feeling the music, being
definitely.
one with the music.
Definitely.
Let the music guide you.
Exactly.
You don't guide
100%. Exactly. So we mentioned at the top of I bet you could dance. I feel like if we got a couple beers in, we could get you out on the dance floor.
Most of it's probably just lack of confidence. That's true.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal. So we also mentioned at the top of the show that we were going to talk about pop music. And so I found this really amazing music map that I sent Jared's way, and it's from pudding.cool. And it is crazy to look at this map. Jared mentioned it looks kind of overwhelming, which I definitely agree. But, and granted, this was popular music in December 17. So
let me start by saying,
yeah.
One, I'm shocked, and I'm shocked by how much of this I don't know.
Okay.
And 2, I'm relieved by how much of this I don't know, because I've listened to some of these songs, and I'm like, by the way, Gucci Gang makes me want to punch someone in the face.
Right.
That song is so annoying.
That's fair.
What stood out to you about this map?
I mean, the song Havana is everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think I recognize that song. I don't know that
Havana,
song.
ooh, na na.
That song
Half
did
of
come
my
on.
heart is that's the one.
That song came up during karaoke in Berlin, and I was just looking around,
yeah.
and I was just looking
right.
around, and I'm like, I've never heard this before.
That's my jam, dude. I love that song.
I
It's a
literally
great
never
song.
heard that song before in my life.
But yeah, so that song actually it was popular in Saskatchewan, Canada, Florida. Let's see where else. I mean, all over the place. Let's see here.
Montana, interestingly enough,
Right.
Boise, Idaho,
United Kingdom,
Oregon.
Normandy, France.
Shout out to the homies in Alaska, bumping Havana.
Right. Andalusia, Spain. So yeah, Havana was a big one. Then in South America, the big one is called Criminal.
Yeah, I noticed that. I've never heard that song either. Did
Me
you
either.
notice, by the way, the song in Czech Republic? Are you familiar with that?
I'm not. No.
Can I try to say it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know how to. Never mind. I don't know how to do that N.
Try it. Just try it.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Zustan tu se minio.
Yeah.
terrible.
No, that was pretty good. Zustan. I can't really say that N either. It's like there's a city near me called Kadaň, and that has that N. Kadaň. I don't
it's
really
like,
completely
it's like
say
a
it.
subtle one of those little Enya things. Sorry,
A little
I
bit, yeah.
shouldn't be playing this, but I just gotta get a taste of this.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, Zustan. Yeah. And what's interesting though too, Jared, is
Song looks like it came out in the '60s, like based off the music video.
you
Sorry,
think so?
Go ahead.
I think
No,
it
don't
sounds
know.
like kind of
I'll
like a
figure it
movie
out.
soundtrack, something.
It does actually.
But
you're
the
right.
interesting thing is there are certain countries actually where you get like it seems like people are much more into music in their native language, and then other countries where it's most of it is English, right? Like Germany, they have a German song
I
called
noticed
"Was
that.
du Liebe nennst," whereas a lot of other places have like Ed Sheeran, "Perfect" was a big one. But then when you went to France, there's Mwaka Moon, which is French.
Spain
then
is
in
mostly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spain is mostly Spanish. Let's see here. Africa has a lot of interesting stuff going on there. They have some French, some Spanish. Despacito was really big in Mauritania. Then you have in Togo, French. Yeah.
Do you see what's big in it's big in Tanzania?
What?
I think it's Waka. Dude, I don't know what this is, but I gotta figure it out.
Is
Oh
this?
shit?
Oh, this is good. I'm
Oh, it's
listening
Rick
to it.
Ross. Rick
Interesting.
Ross.
Okay.
You
Interesting.
can hear that?
Yeah. No, I was listening to it on my computer.
Oh.
But yeah. So it's really fascinating, though. This whole map, just to take a look at. And if you wouldn't mind popping this on our Twitter, so our followers can see this.
Sure.
This is just such a cool map. I'm wondering if they'll update it because it would be really cool to see how it changes over the years and see if in places like Russia, it's all Russian music. It looks like. In Kazakhstan, Gangnam Style was the big one, I guess, in 2017.
2017. Wasn't that big? Wasn't that like a 2013 that came out?
I have no
Something
idea.
like that?
What's fascinating about Australia is Havana is in South Australia, but then all the other places, it's Perfect by Ed Sheeran. So I have to say, Ed Sheeran and I believe her name is Camilla, they were killing it that year, 2017, around the world, killing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ed Sheeran is still killing it. I don't really know what either of these people are doing. I don't listen to any of this, bro.
Right.
Like, not to sound like a hipster, but
You
I don't
kind of do,
listen
but that's okay.
to any of this.
Right.
And I'm still mad about that Gucci Gang song.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah, this is an interesting map. Yeah, I would like to see, like, it would be cool if you could do, like, compare year to year. So, like, click 2015 and then 2016. But I feel like it takes a lot of work to put this together.
Oh, I'm sure. So Jared, I also want to mention some popular genres in some different places. So what genre? You know what? I'm gonna quiz you a little bit because I've been too easy on you this episode. So it's time to quiz you.
Really.
So, what genre do you think is really popular in Peru? Just toss a genre out there.
I don't know. Punk.
Ooh, hit that ham horn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what's
geez.
interesting? What's interesting is there's a Peruvian band called Los Psychos. The Psychos, I think.
I would have never guessed.
And so this was actually in the 60s when they came out, and they had a single called Demolition. And there's even a plaque in Lima, Peru, declaring the global punk movement began there. So back in the 60s, punk wasn't really a thing. But Los Psychos, their style is very brash, rebellious. And so I think that's pretty interesting. And the band has now kind of become popular again and has even come back together to perform for new audiences across the globe. So I think that's pretty interesting.
I want that to be a future song of the pod. I want to hear some of this.
We can check it out.
Have you heard them before?
I have not. And a lot of this info is new to me as well. Granted, this is coming from the Huffington Post. No ethnomusicologist, so take that with a grain of salt. All right, so what about Korea? Obviously, Korea is very known for K-pop, but there's another popular genre in Korea. What do you think that might be?
Hip-hop?
Wow, 2 for 2.
That's right.
Good work. Good work.
Hey, are you done with that pudding website?
Yeah.
Can you close it?
I closed it.
Oh, you did? Damn.
I closed it.
I was wondering. I thought maybe
closed.
that was the problem. I'm trying to figure this out.
I have no idea.
I thought maybe that was the problem because that website is intense. I don't know how I'm getting these.
All right,
I'm just guessing.
So now for South Africa, I'm not going to ask you about the genre because South Africa seems like it really spans a lot of genres. But have you heard of the band Ladysmith Black Mambazo?
Yeah.
They are huge in South Africa.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
I don't know much about them, but I've definitely heard that name. And
That'll
it's kind
also be something we should feature.
What's it called again? Lady what?
Ladysmith
Lady
Black
that's right.
Mambazo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, man.
So they're absolutely
this is like a
fantastic.
Group.
Yeah,
There's like 100 of them.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's like a cappella. But yeah. All right, and then so there's also, or at least there used to be a pretty big rock and hippie scene in Chile in the 60s, which I think is interesting. Brazil's obviously known for samba style music, and also like Brazilian style jazz music, like Astrid Gilberto, which we've had on the as a song of the pod as well. So yeah, it's really amazing to see all the different genres of music, and I also love it when countries will take, American, quote unquote American genres like hip hop and rap or country or blues, and make it into their own. It's always interesting to see how they do that because it's always slightly different,
Yeah, I mean, we've noticed that we've played hip hop from all over from many different countries, and it's not that it's like some you have to adjust the sort of the cadences not only of hip hop but of your language to hip hop,
right?
And sometimes also the words, like for example, Italian seems like I enjoy probably the Italian flow more than the Icelandic, just because it's
right.
it's like
different
flow. Like you got to fit these giant words
right. Oh, for
into
sure.
And it's just you can not that it's clunkier because it's not that. It's just
right.
It is cool
to
see how the language, the tone of the language influences the tone of the music.
Right. And I have to say, I think Czech lends itself really well to reggae music and ska music. We had a song on the pod a long time ago.
I remember that.
From Mr. Coco Man. Mm-hmm. And that was, I love the way it sounds. Also, I think German music is also not too bad with reggae. Like if you check out the band Seed, it's fantastic. I also don't mind some German rap. It's pretty good. I only think it's a little laughable when they try to be gangster because I'm like, look, you're growing up in Germany. Like you have no idea what some of these like true OG American gangster rappers had to go through.
Yeah, I mean,
you
they're
know.
definitely. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They're definitely like putting on a show.
Right. And I'm not saying that their lives are easy just because they were born in Germany. I'm not saying that, but I mean,
No, I'm kidding.
but you know, it's different struggles, and to me, it just doesn't come off very authentic when German rappers try to be gangster.
Well,
you
that's
know?
because they are trying to adopt an American genre, so they're also trying to sort of they're adopting the American persona as well, almost.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think you have to be gangster to be a good rapper. I don't think they're mutually
no.
exclusive.
I don't listen to much rap that I would consider, gangster style rap.
Right. Well, I think it's not as popular anymore as it used to be.
No.
It's really not. It's changed. That's for sure. But yeah. Well, Jared, speaking of music, should we move on to our song of the pod?
Yes, we should. From a country that you mentioned was on your bucket list.
Yes. And so this is a gentleman named, I'm going to butcher his last name, Chico Buarque, I believe.
Seemed pretty good to me.
We'll see. I'll ask my Brazilian friend. She listens to this, so I'm sure I will hear about it. And also, shout out to my Brazilian friend, Andrea. One, you're an amazing person, and two, she always sends me great music. So this is directly from her. And so she sent me this a while back, and I had been meaning to mention it to you as a Song of the Pod suggestion. And then when we talked about music scene and popular music, and I remember her telling me, I said, what genre would you call this? And she told me this is considered Brazilian popular music, which sounds completely different than American pop music. American pop music usually consists of 4 chords, some cheesy hook, and that's about it. It's like a formula.
I have a quiz for you.
Okay.
In this song and in a lot of South American music, there is a specific sound that I guess I'm going to have to try to recreate it with my mouth.
Yes.
There's a specific sound that comes from a very specific instrument, and I know what this instrument is, but I want you to tell me what this instrument is. I want to see if you know it.
Okay.
The sound, it's always kind of slightly in the background. Yeah, look at your face. Yeah. I'm so excited for this.
I am. I'm too excited. Let's hear this.
I just can't get over your face. So
for all of our listeners out there, check out our YouTube channel to see me dying of excitement over here to hear Jared make this
cheesing
sound.
grin on his face.
That's right.
So it's an instrument, and it's always sort of in the background, and it has this sound. It's like.
Yes.
Do you know what that is?
One more time. What was it?
No. Why are you doing this to me?
Oh my god.
But it's all softer. That's like.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You should. Hey, if our podcasting career doesn't pan out, you could. There's that dude doing saxophone and trumpet. You could just
go on the road with him. Do you looking for a mouth cuica? Oh, I just ruined it.
Is that really what it's called?
It's called the cuica. Yeah, it's called the cuica. And do you know what a cuica is?
No.
A cuica looks like a drum, and
Really?
it looks like a small, like say the size of, say you got like a good size thing of ice cream.
Okay.
It looks like that
like
size. A tub, yeah, but a drum. But it and sticking out the bottom of the drum is
like
a small
straw?
stick. Yeah, almost like a straw. And you moisten a specific towel and you essentially jerk off this stick. Yes, dude, that's so much better than mine.
Well, I think it helps. It helps if you do the stick thing.
Also, you're probably.
Oh, jeez.
You're also probably listening to it right now, aren't you?
I'm not.
Oh, okay, that's
I'm
even
trying to
more
stop
impressive
listening
then.
to it,
'Cause
yeah.
I assumed you were listening. I can't get over this. Oh my god, that was very good.
I knew immediately what you were talking about, by the way, when you were like, yeah, I'll make the sound for this instrument, for the cuica, which is a perfect name for it. I mean, that's perfect.
I remember in elementary school, my music teacher had one, and I got to play a cuica when I was in elementary school. I don't know if I could do that. You do it so much better than I do.
You just gotta
Why'd you do
commit
that?
to
That's
it.
so hilarious.
You gotta commit to it, Jared.
You knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yep.
You could do it better than me, and you still made me suffer through that.
Of course I did. Trying to be a good co-host here, Jared.
Well, there's a fun new word for everyone out there. That's called a cuica.
Where do you know where it originated from? Is it Brazil?
I don't know, actually. I can tell you.
Also, future pod episode, musical instruments around the world. That would be really fascinating.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, it's Brazilian.
With you doing the impressions of all the instruments, by the way.
Never mind. You will never hear this episode.
I think they actually use a cuica on the song Watermelon Man by Herbie Hancock. Oh, no, never mind. I think that's organ. But it kind of sounds similar. It has that... I've
definitely heard some Sergio Mendes songs with a cuica in it.
For sure. You know what's funny? Well, actually, I won't even mention it. We'll wait till our international musical instruments episode to talk about this.
I could probably play a cuica on here. I didn't even have to do any of that, now that I think about it, but it's too late.
Let's
you guys
hear
all
it.
got to... I have to find it, because now that we put this on YouTube, find us on YouTube. I can't play YouTube videos.
Oh, that's fair. That's
but
fair.
I found it.
Well,
I found it.
Anyways, let's... I think you and I did a good enough impersonation of it. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, that was pretty good.
It is funny to watch.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And this song, back to our song of the pod, we went on quite the tangent there. By Chico Buarque. There is definitely some cuica in there. And then the title of the song, A pesar de, I think that's voce. I'm not sure.
It's not voce?
Maybe. I'm not sure. My Brazilian Portuguese is not very good, as you all can tell. But the English translation, I believe, is "in spite of you." In spite of you.
Ooh.
And so
like
I'll
that.
read the hook for you, Jared. Let me see if I can find it here. In spite of you, tomorrow will be another day. I will even pay to see the garden blossom, the one you didn't want. You will suffer when you see the sun shining without asking for permission. I will die of laughter. This day will arrive before you can even think about it.
Damn.
So I think
Tell
this
us
song...
how you really feel.
Right? I think this song probably has something to do with either the political oppression or something going on in Brazil. I should have asked my friend Andrea about this. Next episode... I'll ask her and see if she can give me some more insight on it. But it's a fantastic song. Love the music. Love the cuica. What are your thoughts on it, though, Jared?
I like it. I mean, I love the Portuguese is another great singing language.
Brazilian Portuguese.
Do I have to specify?
I would say so. They sound completely different.
Well, so do Brazilians say Brazilian Portuguese when they say Portuguese?
I'm not sure. Maybe. Once again, another question for Andrea. Andrea, be ready for lots of questions.
The Brazilian Portuguese sounds very nice. And it's surprising to hear that this is pop music. That you, especially once you read some of the, or that you, if it is talking about like what you thought it was talking about, that is surprising to hear, like such a powerful sort of topic just over the radio. But yeah, I like it very much. I like it. It's very soft. He has a very soft voice. And yeah, it's great.
And I love the rhythm, the drums going on. I mean, it's hard to... I have a challenge for all of our listeners out there. Check out our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast, or check out our Twitter, Untranslatable1, when this episode drops, and listen to the song. I guarantee you cannot listen to this without bobbing your head or dancing a little bit.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
It's not possible.
Yes, I agree with that.
And that's why I think it's really cool that this is considered popular music. Because, I mean, yeah, okay, pop music in America, you can definitely dance to, but it's a whole different type of rhythm. Completely different. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I think you could definitely dance to this, but I think there's probably also... dancing is more of a central part of the music there as well, I think. So I think a lot more of the Brazilian music will be conducive to dancing.
Right. And the other thing I love about this song and a lot of Brazilian pop music is there's always really funky chords going on, either with the guitar, with the keyboards, whatever. There's a lot of interesting like seventh chords and other types of chords that give it this kind of funky, jazzy sound, and it spruces it up for your ear a little bit. Most American pop songs, and I would even argue a lot of like Western, in general, pop songs, also from Europe, if you can play about 4 or 5 chords, you could probably play about 100 pop songs, maybe more.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Whereas you can't get away with that with Brazilian popular music, I don't think.
Okay. That's interesting. That makes sense. It does seem like it has a little bit more complexity to it.
Oh, definitely. So check that out on our
Or probably a lot
Twitter,
more complexity.
Untranslatable 1, or on our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast. We will have that up for you when this episode drops.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jared, last week I gave you a Czech word. This week we're going to go back to the old method, and let's see what you remember.
Okay.
Got to flex for Pavlina a little bit since she praised you last time.
Dobrý den is a good day.
And your accent's getting better. Very good.
Thanks, man. Or you could say ahoy, which is, yo.
Sup.
Sup. You got to do the neck back.
For sure.
Sup. Dobrý večer is good night. Or
good evening.
Dobro. Yeah, excuse me.
Good evening.
Good evening, because dobro noc is good night.
Very good.
Prosím.
Hezky.
Yeah.
Hezky kluk.
That means good boy, hezky kluk.
Uh-huh.
Or the one you said last week was hezky mluvit.
Hezky mluvit. That's
Hezky,
really what I
not
should say to you.
Hezky. Hezky mluvit, which means good speak.
Uh-huh.
Pivo, obviously, na zdraví, the standards. Pivo is beer, na zdraví is cheers.
Uh-huh.
I remember ještě jedno.
Ooh, good job.
Paráda.
Good job.
Let's see. It is hard to think on the fly of the words.
Do you remember how to ask to pay?
Yes. Both of them. Zaplatime prosím.
Yeah.
Or Uchet prosím if you're a tourist.
I gotta say, man, I think you're a quicker Czech learner than I am. I've been living here for 7 months.
Yeah, but I can't put together sentences.
I can't really either. I can put together some real basic ones. That's about it.
It seems like it would be impossible for me to be better than you because everything I'm learning is coming from you.
That's true. But you're a quick learner. Let me give you that. You're a quick learner.
Okay, yeah. And honestly, it does help that I edit this podcast because I still do.
Right.
I thought that maybe once I got back, I wouldn't do that, but I still do go back and, as I'm editing, spend way too much time in the Czech word of the pod section.
For sure. I have to say, Jared, you are the most well-deserving hezky kluk I can think of. That's for
Hezky
sure.
kluk.
Thank you.
So, Jared, I have one Czech word of the pod. This one's going to be pretty easy, I think, for you as an English speaker, believe it or not. But it's 2 words today. Popularní muzika.
Yeah, I think I got it. Popular music, final answer.
Exactly. Very good. Well, Jared, I always love doing these music episodes because I have music jokes on deck for days.
Oh, I'm sure. You've just been collecting these since you were 12.
Exactly. Actually, when I was studying music, when my fingers were getting a little tired from practicing, I just write down and find music jokes. Not really, but that's okay. So here we go. What is Beethoven's favorite fruit?
What's that?
Banana.
Oh my god. Isn't that from no, it's not. I was gonna say that sounds like something that came from Despicable Me.
That's true. Who knows? Maybe if they make a new movie, they'll have to toss the Untranslatable Podcast.
No, they definitely will.
Dough.
Our lawyers will be in contact if we see them doing a Minions version of that.
Oh, for sure. So, Jared, I picked this one specifically for you as a pianist. Why did the pianist keep banging his head against the keys?
Because he has small hands.
Not bad, but no, because he was playing by ear.
Oh. Yeah. That's how I feel when I try to play by ear. I want to bang my head against the keyboard.
That's fair. I feel like I should have altered that one to why did the jazz pianist? Because I feel like most classical pianists don't play by ear. Hopefully I didn't just have an angry mob of classical pianists on all of our social media feeds.
Hit up Zupstrom, see what he has to say about that.
That's true. All right. My last one, we'll see about your music theory here, Jared. Why didn't the barman serve middle C, E flat, and G?
Middle C, E flat, E flat.
E flat and G.
Well, that's a minor chord. I know that.
Yeah, good. You're getting warmer.
It's a C minor chord.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh man.
Once I say the punchline, you're gonna be like, "This. It was too easy."
Of course.
No, I think you got it. So yeah. So why did the barman not serve middle C, E flat, and G? He said, "Sorry, we don't serve minors."
My head was trying to think of. That's obvious, of course. My head was trying to think of like they were overserved or something. Like they were already drunk. My head was just going to the wrong place.
I see. Gotcha.
But this is why we have you to finish the jokes off for us.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Well, Jared, it's time for us to give a quote of the pod. And I just have to say, I think that music is really what not only brings people together, but also shapes culture and can shape our appreciation for different cultures and different languages.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I think, all the cities I named before, when I think of them, like all those musical scenes I talked about are definitely stand out to me. I was like, well, New Orleans wouldn't be New Orleans without, this or that or whatever.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. So let us know some of your favorite music scenes. You can hit us up on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, on Twitter, Untranslatable1, or shoot us an email, some cities you would suggest for some good and various genres of music. We always love going to different places and checking out the music scene there. And you can reach us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Also, as Jared mentioned, send us any topic ideas you would like to hear from us. If you'd like to hear our expertise about various things. That's for sure. And we really appreciate all of your support to our listeners all around the world. We think it's so amazing and humbling that we have listeners coming at us from, I think it's over 10 different countries
Spread a
now.
little love.
Which is absolutely fantastic. Let us know some untranslatables in your language. We would love to hear them and attempt to say them on our slow and tedious journey to becoming polyglots. So we would really appreciate it. And once again, thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to us, and we are looking forward to bringing you some fantastic new episodes in the near future. So keep your eye out for those. And as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Yakuyame.